Okay, we are live. Hello, folks. Well, John and I decided to, I decided to do a little more of an update. The more I think about this, the more I realize just how bad it really is. There's things that are coming out that I didn't really notice during the trial today. I know certain things. These guys took notes. I don't take notes. I try to listen. But probably one of the most disturbing things to me is what they were calling our witnesses. They're saying they're unreliable witnesses. They're not professional. They're calling layman witnesses. A professional witness evidently is FBI. Some government witness, right?
Yep. The professional witnesses that they're calling professional witnesses are not even witnesses that were even there. These witnesses that they brought forward were witnesses that that just looked at Facebook stuff, that spent days and days and weeks gathering information off of Facebook that wasn't even at the Bundy Ranch standoff actually at all. Most of the actual witnesses on hand, the BLM witnesses that were there, we haven't even seen Dan Love in charge. He hasn't never testified in this trial, even at our request at trying to demand him in there. We've used his statements. We've used did videos that were taken with him in it. Have been used against these guys, but we have not even got him on the stand. Another thing is he was one of the main witnesses to the grand jury that indicted these guys in the first place. That's a big thing to think about. So the witness that went before the grand jury to get these guys indicted, all 19 of these guys, is not even allowed to testify in this trial.
And that's his testimony. That's his testimony before the grand jury.
Behind closed doors.
Absolutely. A professional witness, which they're calling reliable, and the people that actually have boots on the ground are being called unreliable. Okay, so if you don't pay by the government, you're not a reliable witness. Is basically what they're saying.
Pretty much. And if you got feelings, there is no feelings allowed to be. So if the witnesses have feelings of some sort, they're not reliable. They're lay witnesses, and we cannot take the jurors with these feelings because we're not allowed to have anything that's any misconduct of any government, FBI, federal, BLM agents. None of them. We're not allowed to have any talk about any misconduct at all because they're not on trial. They say the people on trial are the only ones that we can talk about. So if a BLM officer done misconduct there, that can't be brought up, such as arresting Dave Bundy illegally and not even charging him with anything. Throwing Margaret Houston on the ground can't be brought up. Tasing Ammon Bundy or sicking dogs on him can't be brought up. Dan Love's criminal investigation that he's under can't be brought up. These are just a few of the things I can think about off the top of my head.
So what they're saying is the government cannot be impeached. All right, whatever the government says, whatever the federal agents say, is the law. They cannot be. They cannot be cross-examined. Basically, they cannot be impeached. There is no, according to the government, there is no wrongdoing. That's the basic assumption that they're making. This judge is there was no wrongdoing by the government. All the wrongdoing, and this is a narrative that she's shaping to the jury and the court. All the wrongdoing is by these people. So this thing is so slanted, it is so biased, it's getting off on a basis, a faulty basis. There's the assumption that the government owns Clark County or owns this land. They won't even allow that to be challenged, which, the congressional record shows that they don't own it. The only thing that was ceded to them was the land that the indigenous people are on. So that they will not allow that to be challenged. They will not allow the Constitution of the United States to come into court. The 9th and 10th Amendment. Well, as far as we're concerned now, it's not just the 9th and 10th Amendment. It's not the Article 1, Section 8, the Enclave Clause with the 18 spending privileges, and the BLM is nowhere mentioned in there. It's not just that. Now the First Amendment is gone. The Second Amendment is gone. The Fifth Amendment, they're gone. They're history in the federal courts.
And they said today that you have no right to defend yourself against any law enforcement in the United States. If a law enforcement agent comes in your door, you don't have to know he's law enforcement. You don't have to know he's a federal agent. You don't have to see nothing. If he comes in your door and you try to defend yourself against him, it's illegal and you can be charged. That's what they said in court today.
And what brought that up was the different uniforms. The BLM had a uniform that nobody else had ever seen before. In fact, some of the people thought it was a Blackwater uniform. Okay? According to the government, that don't matter. Now, everybody knows about law officers being impersonated. All right? That's why we can call, if we get pulled over from an unmarked vehicle, we can call dispatch 911 and ask for a regular black and white to show up. This is the same situation. She said, and the prosecution said, it doesn't matter. You don't have to know whether or not that is a federal agent.
If they tell you that they're police in a broad name, it don't matter if they're mercenaries. There was people that questioned, are these people mercenaries? Are they with Blackwater? Who are they? Are they actually BLM? There's no names or signet name thing on their uniform to say who they are. And so nobody really knew. And it doesn't matter anymore. That's what they said. It doesn't matter.
In my personal opinion, and well, actually pretty much as everybody's opinion was there, they were acting so far out of character. I mean, who would ever believe that you would have a standing army of 200 people, 200 agents that would come into a little teeny town, take it over the way they did? And I'm going to add something to this real quick, because I talked to a trooper in Mesquite after we left. I'm talking about Potter myself, and 2 Metro officers. Those 3 officers came up and shook our hands and congratulated us. They were happy, and they started telling us all these horror stories that the BLM was doing in their little town. They were speeding around that town. They were going through red lights. They were going through stop signs. They were traveling in groups of 12. And if the first one made it through, on a yellow light, the 11 behind them would go through the red light. Okay? There was an officer who was a trooper. He told me his story. He did not know the land had been locked down. He was out with his children, four-wheeling, and next thing you know, they had a multitude of BLM officers pull up and point 15s at him and his children. He told me that story himself. That's the type of information that the public is not going to know, that they're trying to keep covered up. They came in so out of character of what you consider rightful, upstanding, lawful people. They came in with an attitude and with a bias. The hell with doing the right thing or the correct thing, and that was all Dan P. Love, the man that they will not allow us to bring forth to be cross-examined on trial. The number one key witness for the prosecution, the defendants do not have the right to face their accuser. I believe that's the Sixth Amendment right. So that's down the toilet, okay? So how many, really, you only got to lose the first and second. You're going to lose them all. And, they had their free speech zones set up, okay? Oh, the federal government still thinks those were legit. They still think those free speech zones were legit, all right? People, you've got to realize what's going on here. You are losing all your gun, all your constitution, whatever you want to call them, law rights, whatever. They're going down the toilet. Because if we lose these cases, it's history. It is history for all your civil rights.
Exactly is. Like today, the biggest thing we're coming back at here is that the defendants in this case, in the Bundy trial that's happening right now, have been refused all their witnesses today. And what witnesses that have agreed to testify have been intimidated by the federal government with threat of indictment and arrest if they testify. And they're saying up to 200 more people could be eventually arrested over this deal. That anybody who showed up out there to help the Bundys, whether they knew them or not, if they seen it on Facebook and you pushed like, and you showed up there, you are a co-conspirator, unindicted co-conspirator, and that you could be arrested. And they told each and every one of them that that was going to get up, that they need an attorney, and they are under investigation for indictment and arrest over this case. And it's an ongoing investigation. It has never stopped. So you could join the conspiracy from 2014 at this very moment.
Yes.
Now is what they said before today. At any moment you can join in just because you like a Facebook post or that you agree with what's going on.
Exactly. Well, you know, we've got how many thousands of followers just from your video today?
15,000 plus today.
Today, every one of those people that made a comment, a like comment today or any time in the past is now an unindicted co-conspirator.
According to what they're saying in federal court today.
Yes.
These
absolutely.
prosecutors are definitely saying it's an ongoing case, that anybody who joins this and agrees with this could be indicted as a conspirator.
Well, you know, I've been thinking that this is, you know, communist Russia or communist China all over again. You know, it's modern day North Korea. Did you hear what I said? This is modern day North Korea. Got it? This is how bad this is. You know, they can come in at any time and take any people they want. You cannot defend yourself. You know, anytime any officer of the so-called law violates your Constitution or your civil rights, he becomes a dangerous felon. All right? He becomes a dangerous felon. Well, they're saying this dangerous felon, which is going to take your life or take your liberty, you cannot defend yourself against that man. All right? You cannot defend yourself. I mean, it was as clear as that today. You have no right to defend yourself against any rogue law enforcement. People, does it get any worse than this?
It does.
It does. This is, you know, some kind of analogy, what makes sense where we're at, and it's worse than
a case this large like this, in 7 weeks of the prosecutors bringing in witnesses after witnesses after witnesses, and we don't have any witnesses. What's that going to look like to the jurors? And the prosecutors set the stage for this and are denying us these witnesses and threatening the witnesses, trying to intimidate them. Yeah. So if we don't have witnesses, what are the jurors to think?
Exactly.
Tomorrow, when we don't have any more witnesses, we didn't have any of the day. 15 minutes is all we spent in front of the jurors today, and we was in court all day long. And we only had 15 minutes with the jurors. The jurors sat in the back room waiting on us. We was ready first thing at 8:30 this morning with witnesses, and we argued with the judge and the prosecutors all day long about these witnesses, and now we're not allowed to bring them. We might have one witness tomorrow. Eric Parker, one of the defendants himself. The judge and the prosecutor claim that that's his only right that he has as a defendant is to testify. And they mainly say you can testify against yourself. That's the only right you have as a defendant. Or plead guilty. He has a right to plead guilty. And he has a right to appeal if he's not happy.
And how many times did she try to talk him out? I mean, I would say a half dozen times to testify. She's doing everything she can.
Him with perjury,
sure.
He could go to jail. He could get an enhancement on top of the perjury of the exact word, some kind of
enhancement because of the point system.
Because the point system, because it's a federal deal. So she threatened him, Eric Parker, several times, asking him if he understood all these rights that he had, that he could be charged with lying on the stand, this and that, when they never did that to any of the government witnesses. They were never told they would get perjury. They never got threatened with it. They never even got warned about it. Only the defense witnesses get warned. And every single one of them got warned today, and not one single one testified.
Well, I'll tell you what this tells me. Last week, the prosecution and the government had a bad day. They had a bad day. There's no doubt about it. So they took a week off. You know what they've been doing for this week? They have been doing everything they can, plotting and planning to double down at all cost. At all cost. This judge, I'll come right and say she's a Babylonian whore. All right? This judge in this court is virtually taken 80 to 90% of the ability for the defense to defend themselves. She has stripped them from that. This is not, it's definitely not America. And really, right now, the only thing I can compare it to is North Korea law. And what about it? You've got the DHS, Department of Homeland Security. They're out there protecting the building. Once you open those doors,
you're not even allowed to take pictures of the building.
Yeah.
So if you take pictures of this public building, you could be arrested. They warn people all day long, no pictures of the building, absolutely at all. So you have buildings outside in open air. Turn your camera, when you face the camera towards the building, you could be arrested for taking a picture of that building. Is what they're claiming. They tell us that all day long. They tell passerbyers that are coming through. All kinds of rules that we've never heard of, and they don't even have rules to show us. It's just what they come up and tell us, and it's rules they make up daily.
I think so.
Every day there's a new rule they tell us. Yep. They intimidated 2 women today in the courtroom. Pulled them out, asking. They've already been sitting in the courtroom. One of them, they pulled her out and they questioned her multiple times about her having maybe possible cell phone in her purse, and she didn't have one. They let her go back inside the courtroom. She came back, they went back and got her again and pulled her out. Said the reason they decided that they pulled her out the first time is because her shirt was unbuttoned too low. It was just crazy stuff like this, and her shirt wasn't buttoned down too low. It intimidated her so much, this person that was in there, that she ended up not staying the whole day. She was nervous. She ended up leaving early. They also intimidated another lady that was in there. And this goes on and on. And it scares these potential court observers from coming back again. And they do that to all of us too. Again today, multiple times they told me, remember, never turn my Constitution around the way it is, to make sure it's turned around backwards in my pocket as long as I'm inside the courtroom. They won't let none of the defendants have a Constitution. So it just goes on and on, these violations that they're doing to the defense side. And they also tell us not to have any emotions. That's a big thing. They warn us over and over again. None of the defendants can have any emotions. None of the observers in the court can have emotions. But then the judge herself laughs today at the defense. They're talking about not having no witnesses. The prosecutors laugh multiple times when they win their side. They start laughing over there and giggling and nodding their head, and it's all kinds of emotion from their side. But we're not allowed to have any emotions, no facial expressions of any kind. But they have it all day long. Their side has never gets reprimanded.
Once you go through those doors, you're no longer in America. I don't know where you are, but you're no longer in America. Then when you go upstairs, you got to go through the screening process again. All right? So by the time you get in there, you've been through 2 screening processes. Now you're sitting in the court. All right? How many FBI, how many U.S. Marshals were in there?
Today there was 13 U.S. Marshals in there at all times. Sometimes a couple more, at least 13. And FBI agents, at least a half a dozen to 8, 6 to 8 FBI agents in there most of the time. None of them go through any screening at all, not even the FBI. The FBI even sit in the room and they testify, and they never leave. So they're never segregated like we are. If we have a witness, they're not allowed to be in the room. But the FBI sit in the room, watch the whole trial, and then they get up and testify, and they get back down and sit down. These FBI agents were never even present at the Bundy Ranch. And they witnessed the trial, they witnessed all the witnesses, they witnessed everything, and they're still allowed in the courtroom all the time.
The one thing that gets me too is every time when these FBI agents take a stand, and we have special agent so-and-so here is going to testify.
They ask how long they've worked for the FBI and what all their position is. They go along this whole spiel of all their positions, making how professional and how important they are to the jurors.
Exactly. And then, of course, then they call the witnesses that actually were there. They call them laymen.
Lay witnesses.
Yeah. Is it laymen?
Laymen or lay witnesses.
Lay witnesses.
Unprofessional lay witnesses.
Unprofessional and unreliable.
Yes.
The prosecutions are unreliable. How does this stuff get allowed?
It says that these witnesses may risk a jury nullification type trial and they can't risk that. So they call these lay witnesses to testify that the jurors may nullify this case because of feelings that these witnesses may have. And we can't show any expressions or feelings. So if these witnesses may have feelings about the case, they're considered lay witnesses and not professional. So they're, and these BLM officers cried on the stand and had feelings, but we're not allowed to have any feelings.
Yeah, wah! You want some wine with that?
It's pretty bad.
You want some cheese with that wine? That's what,
yeah.
You know, here these big tough guys are, BLM agents, ready to shoot women and children, okay? But they get on the stand and they get emotional and they start crying. But that's okay. That's okay.
Some of these BLM officers on the stand under oath that they went to Iraq. They fought in different ones of the wars over there. I don't know if it's a Desert Storm or which one, but they was in combat in Iraq and other countries, in Afghanistan, and they were more scared at the Bundy Ranch than they were overseas in Iraq. They said that under oath, that they were more scared at Bundy Ranch than they ever were overseas in Iraq in wartime.
And I want to say something to the Metro officers that got up there and basically perjured themselves, whined and cried. I want to say something about Sheriff Lombardo. You guys are an embarrassment. You used to be so ashamed. You're supposed to be the people that are protecting the people of Clark County government that brought in a standing army to destroy your constituents. And you're doing nothing. You're supporting them. I'm going to tell you what. Sheriff Lombardo is carrying the water for Obama, retroactively, Hillary Clinton, and I hope to God that Trump hears about this and Jeff Sessions hears about this. And should you mention?
We're going to wait for this.
Okay. So there are some things that are going on there too. Because this sheriff is not a constitutional sheriff. He's violating the Constitution of the United States on a regular basis. His deputies are doing the same thing. This man's got to be replaced. I say he's resigning immediately, and Roberts needs to be put in his position because Sheriff Tom Roberts was the only sheriff that was out to Bundy Ranch that did the right thing. Okay? And we actually on video heard the BLM officer said, do not tell the other BLM officers, you do not listen to that sheriff, that deputy sheriff, Sheriff Tom Roberts, okay? Here was the supreme law of the land of the Clark County, Nevada, and you had the BLM, United States government, saying, do not pay any attention to him. That was on video that we got to hear ourselves. So, the local law enforcement, you know, we need a big change. I want everybody to, in the future, support their car, not immediately to sheriff, and everybody's call for Lombardo to resign yesterday.
That's all I know to say for the night. It's going to be a big day tomorrow. We need people.
Let me take a quick look and see if there's any questions that people
need some support down there. We need more people to fill up the sidewalk. We need to fill up the courtroom. So, if it's available, get there and show your support. Show what your support.
Okay, buddy, thank you so much. Thank you. We'll be giving you updates.
Soon, yeah.
You betcha.